Okay, guys, we're on day 65. We're getting closer and closer to 70, and then the big 90 days. So I've decided I'm going to start talking about, well, I mean, when you retain, eventually you're going to start talking about the other spiritual stuff. But I want to talk about in this video specifically what we call Christ consciousness. And for those that don't know what that is, I'm sure everyone's heard of enlightenment or the Buddha. It's basically like Christianity's version of it. But as you learn more in that too, I encourage do your research, but you'll kind of see that the philosophers, the Greeks, Jesus, the Buddha, they all kind of point to that like same one like universal truth, like that you're not separate, from God, at least in my interpretation. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. Because I feel like something as I kind of just grew up, oh, you're told to be religious, believe in God, but you're always like praying to Him, like praying. Because like genuinely always thought God was just like, like I guess really powerful like person that would dispense blessings to people that were deserving. But the whole reason that kind of changed for me is through my current spiritual mentor, through I met at my job, just kind of from divine timing. And then the first person he introduced me to was someone called Joel Goldsmith, who talks about what we call the belief of separation, that all our problems and stuff basically stemming, from the fact that we think, we're separate from God. We're not God literally, but we're not separate from God. That's what gets kind of confusing. But when Jesus talks about like all those things, like, all the great things, Jesus does in the Bible, healing the sick, turning water into wine, all that stuff too, you kind of recognize. And I don't read the Bible much, but there's a few like important scriptures, like John 14:12, like where he says like, believe in me as you have. I forgot the exact lines, but you'll do the same things that he has done and greater. And that, I guess depending on the interpretation, but for me, it's like, oh, okay. Even the Buddha, Jesus, we have the same access to what we call divine consciousness or the union of the soul, with your godlyhood or whatever, where it's like you stop worshiping them and you start, kind of look inward and you start doing the deep work. Because, like, when I tell you guys, it's like the way you're going to interact with people, it slowly starts to change. But I would also say, like, your anxiety, your fear, all those things just start to naturally fade as you get more aligned. I feel like, I get to go like two very specific people, two very good female friends, but it's like, I feel like, especially as a man too, it's like a lot of us, we're so cooked. It's like, you can't see a woman past her appearance, You take away her tits and her ass, and that's all you're going to see. But when you retain long enough and you really get aligned, like you can actually like see into their soul almost, like you see past, the external and you actually see into their soul. And that kind of leads into another thing too. It's like as you get more aligned, because this is something, I have a friend that's like kind of going through, but it's something we all still go through, where it's like when things aren't going our way and we're still trying to find like comfort, in the external world. And I feel like it's just so crazy where you get so aligned where it's like anything could happen and like you have this spiritual center that's like so strong, right? And then to go back to Christ consciousness and kind of talk about like seek the kingdom, what even does that mean? And I think it's why I've always been more inclined towards Buddhism because like, usually in like those Eastern, like, like countries, they kind of preach meditation, doing like the self, like deep work and that stuff. But I feel like with Christianity in the West, it's like, oh, taught to pray, go to church, but never do the deep work, never look within. And that's one of the core things Joel talks about, like you start to look inward, rather than looking at everything externally or through your ego, you start to look within. Because remember, guys, at the end of the day, like your internal like consciousness, like your external world is just a like or a reflection of your internal conscious, like, and you have to like really, really understand that because it's like, I'm the happiest I've ever been, and like it's slowly starting to reflect in the external. And, like it is a slow process, but you can't measure it through like human ego if that makes sense because it's like so gradual. But you'll notice points where you have like little breakthroughs. Like even like today, like I was talking to a friend at work, and I just like it's like you start to learn more about the person because, and it's another breakthrough I've had where it's like when you recognize that everyone has the same access to divine consciousness as you do, literally, because you also have access to it. It's like when you view them from that point and you stay in that awareness while you're interacting and moving, in our world, it makes you really able to like understand people, and their fears, because it's also things you're going through too, but like you just have that alignment to like really understand them. Like it was crazy. But another way, it's like you can almost like, especially now, it's like I remember, like I won't go into their whole lore, but like two, well, I guess the one person I'm not friends with anymore, but the other I'm still very close to. But basically, they were like friends for like almost over 2 decades, and they had a falling out. But I remember like the specific time when we were at like the fair, and I could just like sense the energy shift, and it's like I never had the ability to do that before. So that's why we're gonna kind of call that let's call it Christ conscious powers. It's really alignment, or I guess one would call it like intuition. But I feel like as a man, it's like we don't have access to that. Like a lot of us, we're still operating from the external, operating from ego. So that other part, or what we call the 5D consciousness, it's like you're not even aware of it. So you can't even be like open minded to it. But I find as I learn more and keep going, it's like shit just keeps happening, and you're just like, wow, like, oh, that's a new perspective, or I never thought of it like that, I never saw that person in that light. But I will say one of the most important things of Christ consciousness, like when you stay in that awareness and present, it really makes you able to like genuinely like be present with someone. Like I'm talking about, you don't have your phone and you can just like truly enjoy their company, you know, especially as like men too. It's like a lot of us probably like we're in a relationship, but it's like you probably only view your partner like sexually. But if you can't see or past that, it's like there's like so much layers to it that you probably can't even comprehend, just because, we're blinded by lust, we're just viewing, the external. That's why I encourage, I guess everyone's gonna watch these videos, but man and woman, like seek the path, For men, we have retention. Women too. I mean, I'm sure there are benefits to celibacy and abstinence, but men, we definitely benefit from it more, because I feel like the spiritual growth by me in a couple of months, just from retention. I'm almost on day 70, and honestly, it's not even ego. Like it hasn't been, too difficult, because when you're aligned, a natural consequence of that is retention. Like now my standards are so high. It's like, for me, it's like I wouldn't even waste time trying to vet someone out if I didn't have like at least some desire to marry them or get to know them. But it's like, because as a man, it's like we have a lot to lose, especially if you're gonna relapse on someone that you're not even gonna like, you don't even take serious, or you wouldn't even consider marrying. Like if you really think of all the women you've been with, like, and you think, damn, like I wouldn't actually marry them. But as you get like you keep going on this path, your standards are gonna get higher and higher and higher, and you'll just naturally like be like, oh, like no, fuck, I'm not gonna do that, or that person's not worth it, or you'll kind of see like the negative energy and stuff, and you'll kind of want to separate from it, because that's another thing too, guys. I'm blessed to have people that also have the same awareness I do. But as you keep retaining, you're gonna quickly see like your family, friends, work, whatever. It's like very few people have this awareness, because people will have the awareness probably on a basic level, but like the real deep understanding where you can have these conversations, you start to see things, you're able to feel things. It's like that takes a little while too, because I'm only on day 65. I can't imagine like 300 plus, and it's like you just gain like a new power. Like it's almost like a video game, but I would describe it as, here come the anime references, because anime is very spiritual. So but if we think of like One Piece with like, hockey almost, well, let's say maybe Sage Mode is a better analogy, but it's like you get access to like this new power, and it just makes you like so much more powerful, where you're like, damn, like no wonder I was struggling, no wonder things were so difficult, because you were operating, from the human ego and focusing on the external. Because like I'm telling you guys, it's like things will happen to me now, and it's like, yeah, the anxiety and fear, it'll kick up, but then like very quickly it just like goes away. But I've also noticed, and this is a little bit difficult to explain, but as you retain more and get more lines, I've noticed like you have less thoughts, if that makes sense. Or I would say the gap between your thoughts is longer, like before another thought appears. I assume it's a consequence of retention. but it's like there's less noise. Like you can genuinely be present, and like you don't have as much thoughts. Like you can concentrate more. I don't know if that's a consequence of alignment or most on me like eating properly or not eating much like carbohydrates. Maybe it's a combination of all of them, but I've noticed like it makes you able to be like genuinely present, but like really, like genuinely like bond with people, not focus so much on the external. And I'll say that's another power of Christ consciousness too, because back to seeking the kingdom, like it's something you have to genuinely do. Like you have to truly seek it first. Like before all your other goals, you have to seek the kingdom. Like you have to look within and start doing the deep work, because you start looking within and it's going to reflect in your standards raising. Like you're going to work out, man, female, it doesn't matter. Go to the fucking gym. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't care if you have time. Go to the fucking gym. I'm not going to debate you on that, but like go to the gym and take care of your health, because those are going to like, if what I'm saying is like going over your head or you're not getting it, it's okay. Because I'm still trying to understand it too. I don't know if you guys seen that scene in Naruto where like, well, slight spoilers, but if you haven't seen Naruto, what the fuck are you doing? Watch Naruto. But after he gets like the Sage of Six Fast Powers and fucking he's able to touch like those orbs that Obito was throwing, and he's like, what the hell? Like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I can change everything now. That's kind of like the power it feels like I have now almost, where it's like, damn, like you have access to power you've never had before. So it's like you can just keep, operating and like really like seeking like higher levels than you ever had before. And it's just like, damn, like I never thought I'd have the awareness to even do that, because it's like, damn, for years you'll operate from the ego in your mind, and it's like you can't do certain things, It's like, or you just don't have the awareness. But once you have the alignment, like things that I've been struggling for years, they become very easy to do, like genuinely. Stuff you don't struggle anymore. It's very easy to be healthy, avoid distractions, now, because you're operating from alignment. And it's like, wow, like you realize it's been so simple, but the ego it'll have you think like it's hard, almost, but it's really not. If you just like take a step back and just look inward, you realize that, yeah, it's very simple. Like it's very simple, but you have to have the awareness, and that can take years. Like you'll have to go through things, probably things that aren't very, fun, but you have to like grow uncomfortable. And this will lead me to my next topic. Hang on, guys, actually, because I took some notes because I want to make sure we talk about everything here. To go into another quote from Jesus: "Take heart, for I've overcome the world." And what more so means now, with my awareness, I would say is like you have to learn to get to a point where you almost ignore reality. Our ego will call it delusional. Or you're retarded, you don't know what you're doing. But it's really from alignment where you have such a strong, stable like center that regardless of what happens in the external, like you'll be okay. Because remember, at the end of the day, relationships will change, people will die, money will dry up, and you'll gain more money in other ways, but it'll constantly change. That's just how the external world is. That's why it's important we maintain this inner alignment or internal peace. And that's why it's the most important thing. I'm not saying don't have goals, but genuinely, the most important goal is like seeking the kingdom first, or seek God, because even now it's like, I might have a different interpretation of God than probably you do, but it's whether someone's like thinks God's a person or a state of being or whatever. Like if you seek God, you'll probably arrive at a similar conclusion soon enough. Guys, let me see what else. And another thing too, as you do more research, mentioned it briefly earlier, but it's almost like if you look at the stories of Jesus and the Buddha, you'll kind of see they're pointing in the same direction. It's not too different. Christ consciousness, enlightenment, union with the soul, Socrates and Plato, they called it their own thing, but they're all kind of talking about the same thing. But you just have to do the deep work. We call it the ego, the shadow. There's probably a bunch of different names for it, the devil, literally too, but they all kind of refer to the thing that holds you back from that union or Christ consciousness or enlightenment. So, hey guys, that's day 65. Definitely looking forward to day like 70, 80, 90 plus, but these are just my thoughts on more so Christ consciousness and like my current state of alignment. But yeah, guys, if you're not retaining, definitely encourage you to retain. If you're confused, need help, or just want someone to talk to, we have a Discord community. We'd love for you to join. But yeah, remember, guys, seek the kingdom first, look within. Remember, ignore the external world, and keep manifesting always.